Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Becky and today I thought I'd talk to you about this Oracle deck, Miss of Avalon Oracle. This is by Rose in Sarah and illustrated by Nadia Turner. I have shown on my previous video some the Druid craft tarot and the Druid Oracle, Animal Oracle and Druid Plant Oracle. I thought today I'd talk through another Oracle deck, the Mists of Avalon. I've not had this deck that long, although it has been out and available for purchase for a few years. It's published by Rockpool, and in the UK, the price on above the barcode here was £18.99 in terms of pounds, or US dollars 24.95. So why do I like this deck? And this, well, a couple of reasons really. One, the illustrations, which we'll come on to. The front cover here is actually one of the illustrations on one of the cards. But I think for me, and this does tie in with my sort of druid path as well, is the links to, well, as we've got here in the background, Glastonbury tour, but the whole links to the Arthurian legends, the legends of King Arthur, the Holy Grail, and all the other knights, and that what would be summed up as Arthurian legends. So I think that's one of the main reasons why I like this deck. Sometimes oracle cards are good for quick readings. If you just wanted to pull one card rather than having a spread like you might do with a tarot deck, sometimes oracle cards can be good for that kind of work that you want to do. Sometimes they can give you a good single point of focus to perhaps meditate on or journal on or just sit and think about. So as I say, I got this deck, I haven't had it that long, probably about a year, but it has been available for a number of years. I'm just seeing if we can see anything when it was published. On the back here, we have some blurb, as you might say. I'll just read this out if people can't see it. Within the Mists of Avalon Oracle, uncover the myth of King Arthur and the Camelot story as you connect to druidic lore and the magic of Morgan Le Fay. Be empowered by the Avalon priestesses as they speak the language of trees in sacred groves. Feel the spiritual power of the mystic landscape of Glastonbury, revered since ancient times as a gateway to the other world. Become part of the magic and myth of Avalon. And at the top here, journey to the legendary Isle of Avalon to experience its magic, mystery and inner wisdom. There's 36 cards and a guidebook. So Glastonbury has long been considered crucial or important. I say important, not crucial, but I guess crucial probably, potentially as a place for Camelot, the mystical home of King Arthur, and it's long been linked to Arthurian lore and legend. It is called the Isle of Avalon. The tour itself, I don't think it's so much now, although it does flood. But at one point, when many thousands of years ago, I guess, it used to resemble a little island. Such when it flooded, the waters around it would render the tour itself an island. So I think this is where a lot of this lore and legend comes from. So let's start. I'm going to put the lid to one side. And what we've got is a guidebook with the same cover on the front. On the back, you have this lovely design. It's like a Triscali or Triscali, however you want to pronounce it, Celtic design. The book itself, I'll just go through. We've got an introduction, how to use the cards, a list of the cards and their meanings. They've separated them into Landscapes of Avalon, Mysteries of Avalon, and the Guides of Avalon. And as I say, this all links in with King Arthur. There's an illustration on the guidebook there. And then we have the introduction. When you come to the cards themselves, you have a small image of the card, the wording, and then the message and some information about the card and its meaning. And as you can see, we go through. There's a mixture of place, people, and spirit, I suppose, really is what you would call it. And gods and goddesses that go through the cards. You can see, obviously, the writing. It is quite small font. It is only a small guidebook like you often get with these cards decks, these Oracle and Tarot decks, but it would be enough to give you information and initial understanding of the cards And as ever, as like I've said before with a lot of these guidebooks, it's a starting point, it's a leaping off point. You would be able to meditate and think and journal further on each individual card and probably find a lot of your own meanings within the cards themselves. So I shall put that to one side and then we shall have a look through the cards. The box itself, this is the inside of the box. Again, you've got this lovely Triscali design, sort of turquoise colour. Nice sturdy box. Definitely would last some time for keeping your cards safe and in a decent condition. On the back of each card, again, the 3 spirals, Celtic design. I'll put them around that way. We've got half moons if you want to do it that way, but obviously the cards are that way. So we'll have a little walk through. There's only, say, 36. They are numbered. And as you can see, this one is Sacred Union. On the 4 points, I guess a bit like a compass, you have words here. We've got sexuality, growth, vitality, fertility, and that's all leading you towards meanings of the cards as well. You could focus on the image, you could focus on the title of the card, you could focus on one of these, as well as what the guidebook says about each card. When you're meditating perhaps on a card, if you just pulled one card, you could do that. So here we go. That was Sacred Union. We have a grain, and again 4 words which guide you to what each card is meaning. The numbers at the top here are listed in accordance with the numbers in the guidebook, so for easy reference you would be able to find that. Obviously a grain's here with the dog, and at the side here the shield with a cup. Again, all of these are symbols that you would be able to focus on and add further meaning into the card. Chalice Hill. For those of you that don't know, there is Chalice Well in Glastonbury, home of the Red Spring. Chalice Hill is another hill that's right by the tour where you walk up to Chalice Well. And again, we've got the words around the edge, and we've got all the imagery within the card, the woman holding the cup, crescent moon, the flowers, they look like roses, white roses. So within the card, there's lots of hidden symbols and meanings as well. The Abbey, Glastonbury has ruins of an abbey. It is alleged to be where King Arthur and Guinevere are buried. It's well worth a visit if you ever get the chance to go to Glastonbury. I highly recommend it. We have the tour in the background, a couple of badgers. We have a little orb there by the door. King Arthur. Again, the words here are relevant for him: power, leadership, authority and justice. Taliesin, the first bard, so his words: storytelling, divination, poetry, creativity. If you know the story of Taliesin, you know that he became Taliesin after 3 drops from Ceridwen's cauldron. Spark of Arwen, harp. Again, standing stones. There's lots of symbols in these cards. Merlin, the sacred grove, very important for druids. Sacred groves, often where druids would meet, often where they may carry out rituals if they're performing rituals. Galahad, one of Arthur's Knights of the Round Table. I don't know that much about Galahad in terms of his stories, but he was one of the Knights of the Round Table. Brigid, we've just had Imbolg, and Brigid is definitely the goddess of Imbolg and the goddess of, well, certainly the forge and fire. I think you can see that in the symbol here with her red hair. Looks like it's flaming out. Here we have King of the Fairy Realm. I think this is symbolic of the Wild Hunt, if people know anything about the Wild Hunt. Gwynap Nud is another name. The Wild Hunt goes across the skies at night. We've got the tour. We've got the king with his dogs. We've also got a little opening here on the tour down the bottom there. And what have we got here? Isle of Avalon. As I say, I think probably a long time ago, The Tor itself, when it flooded, would be like a little mini island. I think the land around the Tor still does flood, but not to the extent where it completely cuts it off. But it would have done a long time ago. And the Isle of Avalon, this is referenced as well with King Arthur, when after he dies, his body is taken there, allegedly. There's so many different stories about what happened to King Arthur, but that's one of them. The dragon, we have the red and the white dragon, forever in eternal battle. Priestess of Avalon, you could argue that's Morgan Le Fay. Here she is, she's got her altar, a big bowl, full moon. I imagine they are probably ravens flying around her. The Lady of Shalott, it would be well worth revisiting the poem, the Lady of Tennyson's Lady of Shalott, the poem. This is all linked to, again, to Arthurian lore. The White Spring is also in Glastonbury. It's a wonderful place. If you're ever available to go and visit, I would recommend visiting Chalice Gardens, where the Red Spring is, and also the White Spring. Both very, very different, but both very peaceful, tranquil, spiritual places. And well worth of it. They are natural springs. The Red Spring called as such because the water comes up through iron oxide, so it has a reddish tinge to it. And the White Spring is inside, and it's like a little mini cave. Very damp, but very, very powerful. Lancelot, probably one of the best known knights within the Arthurian legend, became very close with Arthur. One of the stories is that he had an affair with Guinevere. I don't know. This is all just lore and legend. Morgan Le Fay. Some say she was Arthur's sister, half-sister, related to him. Again, I don't know. In a lot of the lore and legend, she is the one that conveys his body after his death in the barge to the Isle of Avalon. The Holy Thorn. This is a tree on a hill in Glastonbury, and it is alleged to have grown from where Joseph of Arimathea, planted his staff in the ground and a holy thorn tree sprouted. Now, this is when he came to the UK. It has links to Mary Magdalene, and if you know some of the legends and stories with Mary Magdalene, she is linked to what is called the Holy Grail. The tree itself now had been cut down because it was becoming unsafe, and the landowner, it has been cut down effectively. But there are other holy thorn trees within Glastonbury. This one up on the hill was probably the best known one. A lot of people made a pilgrimage to it, but I think it's grown unstable and had been cut down, sadly. But as you can see, we have a labyrinth here, which again, if you know, you can obviously journey with labyrinths and meditate. We have a little badger and a fox and the Tor in the background. Nimue, what I've read of Nimue, one of Morgan Le Fay's sister. I've also heard Nimue referred to as Lady of the Lake. There seems to be a lot of interchange between names and priestesses and what they did or what they didn't do. But here she's very much portrayed as a priestess. She's clearly performing a ritual. Blodwed, she's a Welsh goddess. So always see her usually with an owl and with flowers. Guinevere, King Arthur's wife. She seems to be much maligned in a lot of the stories about Arthur, but I think there's probably more to her than what we know. The other world. So a lot of people within the pagan community will talk about the other world, journeying to the other world. Here we have a unicorn, a mythological creature, standing stones in the background. Perhaps you might journey through the liminal space when the veil is thin. You might do that through meditation. You might do that through some sort of portal. The Chalice Well. As I've mentioned, the Chalice Well, fantastic place to visit, home of the Red Spring. This symbol here on the card is the Vesca, I can't remember, Pisca, I think. It's a symbol that is used within Chalice Well. And here it's been used, obviously we've got the land and the tree underneath the tour. We've got another labyrinth, a little robin in the tree there. So obviously this card is very much linked to the earth. The tour, here we've got more spirals. Spirals are very much within this, within this card deck. We've got a beautiful hare, spirals on the tour. The Mists of Avalon. So here, this is very much the card, I think, is what's on the front cover of the box and the guidebook. You could interpret this as Morgan Le Fay taking the barge, could be collecting Arthur to take him over to the Isle of Avalon after his death, which is one part of his story. The White Hart, symbolic as a mythical legend and lore, and as a mystical sign for people. Clearly, white deer are very rare. They will always, to a lot of different indigenous cultures, have special meaning. And here we have, I think for Arthur, this would have been very much a sign, special sign. Lady of the Lake. In a lot of TV and films, you will see Lady of the Lake, the hand that comes out of the lake holding Excalibur, that is given to King Arthur. Also, Nimue has been called the Lady of the Lake. There is another priestess or goddess or sister of Morgan Le Fay called Vivian, who's also been called Lady of the Lake. As I say, there seems to be some interchange there. But again, it's often the hand with the sword out of the water. But I think the Lady of the Lake is a lot more than that, and is a goddess in her own right. Fairy is obviously summing up fairies in general. Here we have Excalibur, again with the hand holding it above the water. This is linked, as I said, to Lady of the Lake. Excalibur was given to King Arthur. Again, a sword with power, with mystery, crucial to the story. Ceridwen. Ceridwen had her cauldron, and it was from this cauldron that Taliesin, before he became Taliesin, took 3 drops and gained Arwen inspiration and became Taliesin, but not after Ceridwen had chased him. I think at one point she took the form of a dog to chase him when he was a hare. I can't remember the exact, but they both changed into various animals while she was giving him chase. She is a goddess. A lot of people quite often associated with the sort of darker time of the year and the other world. Ariadne, sorry, I can't say my words today. Another goddess. She is a weaver, a spinner, weaving and spinning the wefts and woofs of time. That's predominantly what she is linked to. So very much it says here fate. Branwen, she has a white raven on her shoulder, another raven above her here. I don't know that much about Branwen, but she is a goddess, and she's obviously linked, a Celtic goddess, and linked in with Arthurian legend. Rhiannon, horses, very much with Rhiannon symbolised. We have 2 swallows above her head, and the colour red, as you can see here, she's wearing a red cloak. Very much, some people describe her as the goddess and symbolising love and lovers. I don't know. Again, she's not a goddess that I've explored a great deal of. And here we have Camelot, Arthur's home, the lost place, his castle. Many different areas around the country are alleged to have been where Camelot was. Nobody really knows. It's just a great story and a great mystery. And the last card, the Holy Grail. Arthur was on the quest to find the Holy Grail. There is so much about the Holy Grail out there. I don't need to say a great deal. There's so much you can research on this, but very much an integral, intrinsic, central point to the Arthurian legend when Arthur was on his quest with his knights to find the Holy Grail. So that is the deck. Some lovely images to which would be great for journaling, meditating, and just sitting and thinking about. Arthurian legend and lore and story is so interesting, it's powerful, it's insightful, it's intriguing. There is still a lot of mystery to a lot of what has been written because nobody really knows for sure what is really happened. And this is one of the reasons why, well, many reasons why I find Arthurian lore and legend really fascinating. And they are linked to a variety of different goddesses and druidic path. So I hope people found that interesting. As I say, you would be able to find this oracle deck in all the usual places that you find oracle and tarot cards. It's often in what would you call occult esoteric shops. You can find it online. I like this sort of deck as a way of just pulling a card and then focusing on that one card. You could, of course, I think in the book there is a spread you can do, but I think it would also work very well with other card decks, particularly the ones I've showed previously relating to the Druid craft and Druid animal and plant oracles. And I think if you had any linked to, and there are some out there, King Arthur and Arthurian legends, you could also use this in conjunction with other similar decks. So I hope you found that helpful. Please like and subscribe as ever. I hope people found this interesting. I hope it might inspire people perhaps to think about oracle and tarot card decks. And until next time, please enjoy the video. Thank you.